Welcome to Mom Meets World, a podcast talking all things motherhood, friendships, and life. We're your hosts, Alaina Brookmeyer
and Peyton Saraiva. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's dive right in.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
What's going on? We have another amazing episode for you guys today. So first things first, we do our weekly catch up and I fill you guys in on my Disneyland trip with Chloe. So have lots of details for that. And then Miss Peyton had an amazing surf lesson and a really cool date night idea with Chase planning their future together. So that was super cute, very inspiring. Then we have a little moment for some local spots to take our kiddos. But the heart of the episode, we actually go over our big kind of like tips and survival guide for getting through times where your partner may be out of town and you're solo parenting. So that's really, really good. Put these tips in your back pocket for maybe you haven't gone through it yet. Maybe it's been on your like plate this whole time, like consistent partners out of town. It's a big thing. It's a big deal. So we go over a lot today. It's amazing. What do you think of it?
Oh, good as always. Feel excited and inspired after we wrap that up. Chase is out of town here coming up. So I feel like my bank is full of tips and I'm excited to share it with you guys.
All right, then let's dive in.
Okay, welcome back. You're fresh off the plane back in Arizona safely, might I add, from Disney and from Southern California. How was your trip? Tell us all about it.
Yeah. We came back in one piece last night. Didn't get too hit hard with like the bad timing with all the air flights and all that. So, we got Chloe down for bed, pretty regular schedule, still fit in all of her naps. So we were kind of like on track. So no full on meltdowns, but you know how it goes. There's the change in routine. So she's a little iffy here and there. But yeah, overall trip was amazing. We jam-packed everything into this, like, let's see. So we went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, came back Monday. So those 3 or 4 days. Big highlight was Disney, as I kind of previewed in the last episode. So that was like huge for Chloe girl. It was like such a check off of our milestone list. And my dad got to meet us down there. So he flew from the Bay Area down to LA, met us at the Santa Ana airport, and we stayed nearby the hotel. I feel like you and I were just talking, like we could make a whole episode just about like Disney tips and tricks, whether you're going to Disneyland or Disney World, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, since it was our first day going or time going, we only spent one day at the park. So we were like, it's a huge splurge to spend like a bunch of days there. But after doing that one day, we did realize like there's so much ground to cover and you spend so much time like waiting in line for different things. So it's like you could spend several days there and still not hit everything that you want to. So we stayed close by in a little castle hotel. So we kept telling Chloe like, oh yeah, let's go stay in the castle. It'll be princesses and princes and kings and queens, whatever. So that was cute. And so we spent the 2 nights surrounding that one day at the park. Literally could walk to the park for like 5 to 10 minutes. So we got to walk there, take our stroller, no wagons allowed. So we got our little rink-a-dink stroller, spent the first half of the day there, came back for nap time, went back out with her. And then we got her back by her 8 p.m. bedtime. And my dad stayed with her at the hotel room. Well, Ben and I went back to the park for the 3rd time in one day. And so I'm like exhausted thinking about it, but we stayed till almost midnight. So I was like, props to us, dude. We took full advantage of that one day ticket.
Absolutely. And wasn't it Valentine's Day as well? So you kind of got to fit in a little bit of Disney magic and some one-on-one time. And hopefully you got to hit the big coasters while you guys went back without Chloe. Because obviously, like when you have her, you're trying to do Dumbo and you're trying to do It's a Small World and all the littler rides, which that's where the magic's at. And I totally get that. But there's something really fun about after the parade's over and after all the little ones go back to bed to be like, cool, park hops, Let's go. Fast passes, check the app, boom, boom, boom. Which rides are the shortest lines and hitting all those marks? Because all the kids go back naturally, as you and I are now those parents that have kids at bedtime. So, what a little
Yes.
tip bringing your parents to Disney with you. Pro tip
Big
number
time.
one.
Yes, that is huge. My dad helped like big time, just being with Chloe, helping just in any way possible. So that was amazing that he was able to make the trip with us and like also just share those such special moments because like just to see the little sparkle in her eye and be like, oh my gosh, there's Minnie Mouse. Like, what? I actually get to hug her? Like, this is not real life. So it was like so freaking cute. And yeah, so using the app was huge too, because there's the Disneyland app, and that was
Yep.
like crucial. You could see where the characters were like where they were throughout the park, see the wait times for the lines. We got the lightning passes, so you do have to pay extra money for that, but that was a huge plus too, because you can sign up to do, let's say we wanted to do the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and you sign up for the lightning pass, like and then it'll tell you the next window that you can use that pass for.
Gotcha.
And then we just kind of zipped through, and it was like awesome. Not all rides have that lightning pass situation, but that was awesome. And yeah, I mean, you know what? It was as successful as it could have been. And I think also what helped is like leading up to it, we didn't tell Chloe right away, you know, months in advance when we knew we were going.
Yep.
So we told her like a few days before, like maybe almost a week before, and I showed her pictures of Disneyland. Obviously doesn't do it justice, but she's like, what's Disneyland? I don't know. I got her a cute little Minnie Mouse jacket and like her little Minnie Mouse outfit and just like made the most out of it. And thank God she's not the type of kid to ask for everything she sees as far as like toys goes, because like, you know, there's stores galore in Disneyland.
Yes.
You could buy whatever you want. So we told her, pick out one gift that you want. We went into the bigger store and she bought this little kit of like little mini figurines of each of the princesses. There's like 9 of them. So
beautiful.
That was really cute. Yeah, to wrap it up. And then the rest of the trip, we went down to Hermosa Beach, which is Manhattan Beach, LA area. And Ben and I actually spent a couple of years early in our dating relationship over there. And so it just holds a special piece of our hearts. And, you know, we gave Chloe her middle name, Hermosa, from living in Hermosa Beach. So it was just fun to share that with her, too. So it's just a very, like, special, like, pulling on the heartstrings kind of trip for us.
Oh, that's so great. I'm really happy that you guys are able to tick all those boxes, go to the beach. You guys fit in quite well there. So if you ever want to move down to Australia, I reckon you'd really enjoy the beaches down here.
I know, I was thinking of that. I'm like, dang, Peyton gets this all the time.
Oh, it's so nice. I love it. But I'm really glad you guys had that awesome trip and she coped well. And I want to give hats off to you. I asked a couple times, like, how's Chloe handling things and how is it all going? And you're like, no, she's handling it really well. And that's a tip to you and Ben on just like your overall parenting and how you guys set her up for success on like what you expect, what's happening. Like she knows her routines, but also she trusts that you guys are going to put her in a spot to have the most fun. And like, I think sometimes we get caught up in the fun parts of the day and just skip a nap, or like in some ways like, oh, we're at Disneyland, let's skip the nap and just take advantage of the full day. But you and I both know that like the outcome of that would be a really early evening or a tantrum that would ruin the fun part. So even that hour and a half, 2 hour nap in the hotel really would recharge everyone to get ready to go back out and experience the rest of the day. So I think that's a really good tip that you mentioned, is like not rushing too far and just getting to the next thing, like going back, taking that nap, recharging as a group, and knowing that the park will be there when you get back and you can jump right back into all those things and it might settle down, you know, when, yeah. Anyway, so I think you guys did that well. And one more little fun. Yeah. Did you know that there's a Starbucks in Disney?
Oh yeah, but they hide themselves by like looking like a really cute like bakery or coffee shop, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the only like fresh coffee shop that I could find around the whole park. And then we go in there and I'm like, dang, this is Starbucks though. And not hating on Starbucks, but I'm like, if I'm in a different area, I want to experience like different, like more local, whatever, smaller shop kind of coffee. So yes, found that out.
We're the same. But I went there a while ago with Chase actually, and I did the click and collect, and it was like a pretty good way for us to keep going through, because we went to Disney with some friends that weren't really big Disney people, but so I don't really know why they went along, but Chase and I were like, cool, we did our click and collect, we got our coffees, like we hit the park. So I'm super excited to take Cooper there, because it's like a mom goals for me.
Oh my gosh, if you guys want company, we'll go again. So just keep us posted.
We'll
have all the tips. Yes.
Yay, cool.
Well, fill me in on your life. You have been having some things going on too, so let us in.
Yes, life is good. I had just wanted a big shout out to Chase. He picked the best Valentine's Day gift. He booked in a private surf lesson for me down here, and there's like a local surf instructor that has an awesome, cool van, and like I always drive past and see him doing lessons, but he's also a professional surfer, and I've always been really intrigued to get out there and try surfing, but it's such an intimidating culture in a lot of ways because everyone's born and raised here and like was born basically in the water. And so I've been a little nervous to go, but Chase booked in this 2-hour lesson for me on Monday, and it was an absolute blast. I know I'm really sore now. I feel like I've got a six-pack already, but it was so much fun. I was able to get up and standing after like 3 waves, which was awesome. He was a great surfer.
That's really good.
Yeah, he's a great instructor. Shout out to Domini Board Riders, and his name is Matt Hoare, and it was an awesome surf experience, and I'm like obsessed now, and like the weather was perfect. It was sunny and hot and just absolutely like the most perfect like way to like ring it in. And so that was a great gift from Chase. And then like over the weekend we did some life planning and goals. There's been some changes in our life as far as like work goes and dynamics and the brewery side of things, and so we just kind of needed to sit down, write down all of our goals and alignments on like what we're looking for when our family's continuing to grow and like all these things. And I listened to a podcast recently that kind of talked about writing it down on a poster board, going through, and the thing that we wrote on the top of the poster board was, what does an enough life look like? So I feel like in general and in life, we always have a goal. We want to make $3 million a year and then I'll make it. Or we want to go on a holiday every year and then we've made it. But like most of the goals I would say people have are having to do with a monetary goal. Like I want to be this position, I want to make this much money. But I feel like those type of goals slip through your fingers too quick, or you go and you hit those goals and you're left disappointed because, you know, the milestone then moves. And so this whole podcast I listened to was centered around like, what does an enough life look like for you and your family, and how to like put that down on paper so you can hit small goals and obtain them, but also feel that gratification throughout life. And so it was a really nice time for Chase and I to be like, cool, we want to be able to travel when we want to travel and not have to like save for 6 months, or, you know, like we're not necessarily need 3 house kind of people, but we want to be able to go and visit family at a drop of a dime, or, you know, and that's kind of the gist of this ideology. But I really loved it, and it was a good conversation. We opened up a really nice bottle of wine we've been saving, and it was a nice way to like break the ice on some of those tough chats on like, what does it look like for us in 5 years? Or, okay, Pate, right now you're working at the brewery, but like what will make you feel happy in a career once Cooper is in school full time, or once our next couple kids, you know, are off in school? What are you looking for? So I feel like that was a really good icebreaker. I think sometimes life chats can be tough within a family dynamic, or like you get nervous about hurting their feeling about vocalizing certain things. And so I really, really had a lot of nice like fulfillment within that conversation, and we got to a lot of really good places. And I'm looking forward to like what's next within like our little family unit, but also like in life, just kind of keep pushing forward. And ironically, one of those things was to do a surf lesson. So I was like super excited to get that ticked off, and check. So that was a really big thing for us. So that's exciting.
That's amazing. I feel like that really is inspiring. Like it gets the wheels turning just even hearing you talk about it. I feel like everyone should do that, whether you're in a partnership or not, you know, like, and that kind of brings me back to the episode that we did to kick off this new year of like, you know, one of the topics or one of the points that we made in that episode was to never stop dreaming. Yeah. And that's like something that I want to keep working on. And so like, as long as you kind of have a vision and like that little spark of passion to keep moving forward towards something, I feel like that's huge. So that is very exciting. And I can't wait to hear like more details off on the side from you, because I'm like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, what does your future like? Am I in it? Yes.
Oh my God,
like,
of course.
You need to be right. You need me next to me. I need you to be like living next door, please.
Oh my God, don't be ridiculous. Of course you're in my life. Unfortunately, when you signed up, number one, when you signed up with this friendship with me, it was like a non-negotiable. You're stuck with me for life. So yeah, you can't be pissed off at me or anything. We're friends forever. So we got to get over whatever's happening and moving on, or across the world or across the state or wherever we end up in life. Like, it's not a surprise. I don't know where our forever is. You know, we're really enjoying it here, but I always kind of joke and say it's a really great, like, I don't know if it's our forever. It's a great for now, and we'll just see what life happens. And, you know, like, I don't want to be those people that are always pushing and rushing to the next thing. And that was not the point of the conversation. But I do think it's important to like take a step back, reflect on things. And like after mom and dad left and we had all these guests and visitors for so long, I think it's so critical to go, okay, let's get back to our goals. Let's get back to where we're at. And then, kind of game plan and reflect. And I think it's important to do so feeling refreshed going into the week. I just got my hair done, so I'm feeling also
I was literally about to say side note.
Feeling really good about
so
that.
Fresh.
So
yes.
fresh and so clean. So speaking of fresh and clean, what are some of your moments of the week? So this week you and I are kind of chatting through what is your favorite spot to take Chloe, like your favorite tot spot, your favorite place to take her, as a family or just you and her. What do you like to do?
And that kind of like almost leads into our topic too, of just like, how do you entertain the kiddos and like, what do you actually have fun doing? And like, keep saying all that good stuff. So we'll get into that. But something that's local here that we've been really enjoying the past, like, I guess couple of years now is the Idea Museum.
Yep.
So if you're in the area, it's called the Idea Museum. It's in Mesa. I don't think they have any other locations, but they should because they're awesome. So the whole way that it works is like there's two kind of areas or sections of the entire museum. One section is mainly geared towards littles, so like maybe ages 0 to I think 5. So like, there's the big foam blocks you can stack. There's other little rooms within the big room. So like there's a veterinary room with stuffies and like the fake x-rays. There's the little play kitchen room, and then like all these different rooms. There's the dress up room where they have costumes, and it's just really cute. And so then moving into the next area, it's more for bigger kids. But Chloe is totally like, she'll totally do her thing in that area too. But it's more like hands-on activities, like doing little art projects, or like they just really think outside of the box there. Like there's one wall, and I think it's with a black light, and I think you can write, quote unquote, right on the wall with a flashlight. And so that's kind of cool. So all of these different things where you're like, oh, whoa. And it sparks this little like thing in their heads to be like making those connections. So it's a really cool spot. Highly recommend if you are in the area to check it out, or if you ever even visit. And we're huge. We're really into memberships because then you can really get the most out of it and you end up saving some. And also like for me, just to not think about like, oh, I don't want to go there because I have to pay each time. So it kind of takes that pressure off. Yeah. And like, if I know we get a membership and like, we're like in a good situation to where we can afford some memberships here and there. So it's like, okay, let me just go when we actually want to go, So that's our little spot. What about you?
Yes. My recommendation is the Bateman's Bay Pool. So it's like 40 minutes away from here. And it's just like a really awesome spot for like an overcast day like today, or, coming into the winter months. It's a heated pool, indoor and outdoor. Outside, they have 3 pretty big water slides, so definitely on the older end. Inside, they've got like that, the beach entry pool, a little toddler area, lifeguards everywhere. And then on the other side of the place, they've got like this indoor heated pool, and it's pretty much like up to my waist, so Cooper can basically stand in the water, and it's such a fun place for him to kind of like continue learning to swim, building that trust. There's like a big ramp to get in so he can kind of jump into the edge, and so it's also so warm. Like that room is probably like 85 or 90 degrees in the water, and so like it makes it so it's really nice for the moms and like the friends to sit in the water and chit chat, because like the ones on the other side are still a little bit chilly. Kids don't feel cold, I don't think, but so I really like the I'm kind of an advocate for the warmer pool, because that way I can sit and chat with my friends, and Cooper can play with the kids and we can see him. There's not that many people here because, we're a really big touristy based town. And so now that tourist season's over, we went there recently and there was like 10 people in the pool. So basically felt like we had it to ourselves. And they have a little cafe there, so you can go and have lunch afterwards, and it's a quick drive. And so like kids can sleep either on the way home, or it's right next to like again, we're pretty far remote. So like it's closest to our like Target and Kmart and like all of our shopping areas. And so I can kind of easily go, Coops, we're going to go to Target for the morning and then we'll go to the pool. And so it's an easy way to kind of make the most out of a morning, especially an overcast morning, and just go pick up those little odds and ends.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good go-to spot. And you made a good point of like, okay, when weather's not ideal,
Of
and
course.
especially like, how it gets out here in the summers.
Yeah.
Like that's when I want to get Chloe inside and be active. So yeah, that totally makes sense. Yay, it's good to have those
It is
around.
so good. So today's heart of our topic, we are kind of chatting about what it's like to solo parent. So I don't want to say that we're talking about like single parenting. I'm just talking your day-to-day routine is broken up, your partner or spouse is away on holiday, an extended amount of time. So whether that's work or whether that's like a recreational trip, because look, we all deserve a little bit of me time, not just moms, men too, or partners too. Everyone deserves a little me time. So let's break it down. Ben's been traveling a lot with work lately. As we've talked about on the phone, on the podcast before, he works for, he's a mechanical engineer for Lucid. He's traveling a lot. How have you been coping? Give us some tips and let's kind of have a chat about it.
Yeah, it's really hard being the person at home with your kid or multiple kids and not a lot of help and assistance outside of the home, like no family in town, let's say they're not in school. It's just a lot. And like especially with Ben's situation, if he has a work trip coming up, sometimes we don't know until pretty last minute. Like we might know a few days ahead of time, which is a little bit more rare, or we'll know maybe even a few weeks ahead of time, which is nicer. So it's just like, we have that little bit of time to prepare. And also, just like, I think that's the biggest tip is like just plan and prep as much as you can ahead of time and whatever time you do have to do that, whether it's last minute or not. And in the ideal world, the partner that is traveling does help with the prep and planning part. That would be really nice, but that doesn't always happen. Like in my situation, I am the stay-at-home mom. Like I'm just so used to this stuff anyways. If there are ways that Ben can organically do it, or maybe he thinks to do it, or maybe I think to ask him or delegate some things, then that's nice. Like one of his kind of responsibilities around the house is, taking care of the garbage. So maybe he'll think to do that before he leaves and just like make sure everything is kind of, a clean, fresh start for Chloe and I. So those little things really add up compared to like, oh, let's say the trash is almost full and then he pieces out and then, okay, it's one more thing for me to do. And they sound like little things. They're just little things throughout each day, but like they add up big time because by the end of the day, after a full day or like by that fourth day, that fifth day of just doing full on parenting, I am dead. I am deceased by 7 or 8 p.m. Like, I do not want to do those dishes in the sink after I put Chloe down and like feed my dog and like feed myself. Oh my God. So it's just, it's a big deal to have your partner be out of town. And even like maybe there's a huge time difference. Like Ben's last trip was in Germany and, I only had a little window to communicate with him. And it's just like, yeah, there's so many small little things that truly, truly add up, especially planning and prepping. So like meal prepping or like going grocery shopping ahead of time, getting your laundry done ahead of time, like do everything you can to kind of set yourself up for success before your partner leaves. I feel like that's the biggest thing. What about you? Because I know like you and Chase don't experience too much time apart, but like you've had little snippets there, and I know he has a trip coming up, right?
Yeah, so Chase is going to New Zealand in about 3 weeks' time now, and he'll be gone about 8 days. So, like, it's only a 2 hour time difference, not too bad, or maybe an hour, I'm not sure. But look, I'm really, really excited for him. It's an awesome opportunity. There's a little bit of green envy on my end because I really want to go with him on this trip, but it's definitely a work trip, and New Zealand's on our list. So I just know that it'll be, he'll go sort out a lot of stuff and we'll plan it next time. But yeah, I think some things, prepping ahead of time, making sure I've got all the stuff in the house. Ready to go. And something that I've really researched and kind of like enjoyed doing last time Chase went out of town, I made sure to like find a movie or a show that I was wanting to binge and like saving it for that time. So having small things to look forward to. So like once Cooper goes to bed or like once I've got all those chores done or those things around the house, I've got something small to look forward to so that I'm not just aimlessly on my phone going, why aren't you texting me back? Or I miss you. Or like, hey, let's FaceTime when I know he's meant to be where he's at and he's having fun. So like that's a small little fun like bonus tip, but I do know prepping a lot in advance. So whether that's making a couple meals and freezing them, or doing a big batch of mac and cheese that Cooper loves, and then adding different veggies in each day when I like zhuzh it up or like sprinkle in, some fun. And a big thing like I want to try to do or continue doing with Cooper is like, especially when Chase has just gone for a small weekend trip or whatever, trying to do like a fun little mommy Cooper activity each day that like might be outside of the box, outside of that normal routine of like work, home, or daycare, home, dinner, bed kind of thing. So like whether that's making a fort in the living room and then watching a special movie on the TV, or like recently I saw this awesome craft and I just got the paint and everything, but like you just get a bunch of paint and a big poster board, and he's really into monster trucks, and so it's kind of like one of those messy play things, but going out on the deck and having him use the monster truck through the paint and like creating tracks on that big poster board with the wheels, and trying to find fun little ways to think outside the box and break up the mundane. And yes, it sounds silly because like one craft might take 20 to 40 minutes of the whole day, but that means a lot in the scheme of their little brains, and continuing to find fun ways to fill that time is big for me. Because like that lull from that afternoon nap until bedtime's 4, 5, 6 hours or whatever that is. And that can seem like a really long stretch if you have already pre-prepped food, you quickly cook it, and then you're like, well, shit, what am I going to do with the rest of this time? So trying to find fun ways to like fill the time with, grace, but also giving yourself some time to go, cool, I need a little screen time so I can take a shower. Or, you know what, why don't we pop on a movie? Because I just want a second, and like trying to find something new and different that he hasn't done before. So it's not mundane, but finding like a fun new movie to watch together with him, or like giving yourself the space to go, screen time isn't going to kill him. It's not an everyday, all the time sort of thing. And going, wow, it's a special treat. Why don't we watch this show together?
Totally. Yes. Like having those little things to look forward to, and like the flexibility in your routine, and just like now's the time to test out those cute little crafts that you see on Instagram. Like save those reels, put it to the test. Like, yes, it, like you said, it might only eat up a little bit of time, but it's also just something like new and fun to do. So this is the time to explore and to take up that extra time, because you do have the extra time, like with your kids. You don't have extra time and energy yourself, but so I think that's something that like I've taken away too, is like I'll bookmark. I saw something cute of like, let's see, what was it? Putting little toy figurines in an ice tray, and then you freeze like a little shallow bucket or whatever it is, and like make it an ice rink, and like you just have the toys kind of slide on ice and make it an ice rink. I don't know, just all these silly, cute things that hopefully don't eat up too much time to actually put together. Or even go to the store, and like the dollar store, and buy these little things to do something with your kid. Like have them be a part of the full experience of like putting it together. You don't have to have it fully ready for them to play with right away, but like make it a full experience. And like I usually love, it's a lot of energy to take Chloe to the zoo, right? Like that kind of sounds like a big outing. So maybe I'll be like, okay, Friday morning, I will take Chloe to the zoo, and like make that be like a little mommy daughter date, and it doesn't have to be the zoo, but like, or go to a park that's a little further away, like make it a little bit more of an adventure. And those are some things that you can look forward to together, and like still have in your back pocket. Like, let's say you do have some of your routine, like their school maybe, or whatever it is, they still have gymnastics or swim class, that you can still keep up, but then like have kind of a list. I literally have a notes of Chloe activities in my phone that I share with Ben, that he doesn't look at, but it's fine. But that I always update of like, okay, library is always an option, or, sometimes they have classes where they just have the book section for kids, or like Petco. That could be a zoo, a quick zoo. Like that's just a pet store where they have like,
fish
little
and
bunnies
lizards and
sometimes kitties. Yeah, like the little stuff, and like make that a little cute experience of just going for a half hour and just saying hi to all the little animals and creatures. So blah, blah, blah. There are so many things to think outside of the box. And like, if you're like me and want to like list them and always have your kind of like list in your back pocket. Yeah, I think that's really helpful compared to being like, I kind of freeze up if I don't know what to do. So that's super helpful for me. And yeah, so
I think it's also really important, and you taught me this, but like also making plans with your friends. And as mundane as that sounds and silly as that sounds, I think it's super important to remember that when you're on this time and you have all this free time, reach out to those friends and be like, hey, do you want to meet down at the park? Or if, your kid's having a meltdown, and, getting outside is a huge thing in our household. So if Cooper's off, I'm like, he needs to go to the park, or he needs to go to the beach, or he needs to go to the bush, or let's go play in the front yard and give his car a car wash. But like remembering to reach out to your friends and making plans. So each day you have something small to look forward to. But also, like, as a mom, it's really nice to have that cup filled with another adult, because like, for example, when Chase goes to New Zealand, I will be taking that week off from work because I can't close the brewery down at 9 and then have Cooper, like, childcare is over at 3:30, right? So, and I can't rely on friends to watch him that late. Like, anyways, so that week I'll be taking off, but normally I have Chase to talk to, or I'm at the brewery talking to adults. So, like, it's really important for me to fill my cup up to continue hanging out with people or getting outside, and, not just like, texting is one thing, or talking on the phone here and there is important. But as we know, life is busy and it's hard to just sit on your phone all day, because like our kids are demanding attention. And something that we're really trying to do is not be on our phones too much around Cooper, because I don't want him to look back and have memories of mommy is always on her phone, or mommy's doing this. Like, I want him to be sole priority. Trying to find ways to plan things with your friends is a pretty big thing. And again, doesn't need to be big outings, but like going to meet up for lunch, or going to that local park, or like, hey, we just woke up, we're going down to the beach, you guys want to meet up? So it doesn't need to be like much in advance planning, but don't forget to reach out to your support. It does take a village. We have a group of people here for a reason. Yes. Use them, take advantage.
Exactly. And kind of like what you said, like even just getting that adult conversation, like being a stay-at-home mom myself, I don't get a lot of that, to be honest. Like even if I'm around other people, that does kind of help. Like I'll go to the gym or, Target, whatever it is. But like I don't actually talk to that many adults, and it's kind of scary. But thank God Chloe's growing up and can actually respond to me these days, so that helps. But
well, I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, just I know we'll send each other voice notes. That counts, right?
7 minutes later.
Literally. So yeah, just like having those set up, something to look forward to, like then you just have that routine, and it's kind of set for you too. If you have those little play dates set up for not just your kiddos, but for yourself too. And that just like, it's just nice. It's just always nice to just have that to look forward to. And like, it works out perfectly too of like, last time Ben was out of town, we had another friend who her husband was out of town the same time. So we got together and we're just eating up time, and we're in the same boat and just supporting each other and having the kiddos play. And it's a beautiful thing to have those friends around to eat up the time and just fill your cup up. So
amen.
Yeah.
What a community we have.
Yes.
And something else that I was thinking about is like, I think it's important for us to remember that if our kids normally go to daycare and you're not working, or there's a situation where like the husband's out of town, or your partner's out of town, or your wife's out of town, and they normally go to daycare, it's okay to take a little me time to like refill your cup up before you go pick the kids up from daycare. And I found this week, I didn't work Tuesday and I had a hair appointment booked, but Cooper's supposed to go to daycare, and our daycare is sort of like you use it or you lose it sort of things. Like if you don't use the daycare, you have to still pay for it. So I still sent him to daycare. I got my hair done. I came home. I got the house all sorted, and I had like an hour and a half, and I was like, what am I going to do with myself? And I like hopped on a little show, put my feet up for a second, went and got Cooper still 30 minutes early from like his normal time, because I wanted to surprise him a bit early. We went to the farmer's market, and like, it's okay to do a little me time or a little self-care. And again, it doesn't have to be massive. It could be like after your kid goes to bed, do a little bubble bath, or again, watch that episode of Bridgerton you've been putting off for months. Like, remember, it's okay to take a little time to refill your cup up before you tag in the next day. Because if you think about it, you wake up. I looked at my clock this morning. Cooper walked into my room to get in bed with me at 6:13 in the morning. So this morning, got into bed at 6:13. He goes to bed at 7:30. That's like a full 13-hour day that you're pretty, tapped in with life and parenting and all those things. So just giving yourself that extra hour or two for a little bit of you time is actually just filling your cup up in a way to be a better parent, a better wife, a better communicator, a better employee, and all those sort of things.
Yes, please make sure to fill that in. That is a huge tip, because then you're just going to lose it. You're going to break at the end of the day. And like, no matter how long the duration is of, your partner being out of the house and out of town, like each day going by, you're just going to like crack a little bit. And so you just have to set yourself up for success. And like, I love your idea of even just having a show to look forward to. Like, let's say your partner, your husband, whoever, like isn't into Love is Blind, whatever, like you get to watch that show all by yourself and like get to finally just do these things that maybe your partner's not really into. Like I used to always, well, now Ben's into it, thank goodness, but I love making Japanese curry for myself. It's very much a comfort food. I grew up with like the Japanese curry, and, you know, Ben had always been scared of curry or just like of that spice realm because he had a sensitive stomach. But now he's realizing, oh, this is yummy and my stomach's okay. So we're fine with that. But that would be my go-to meal that I would make for myself, my comfort meal every time that he would go out of town. So also kind of like, let's say they go out of town regularly, right? Or like somewhat often. You can have these things to look forward to and like to kind of comfort you, whether it's something you always make for yourself for like a meal. Maybe you set up a tradition with your little one. Like I think my sister-in-law, I mean, her daughter was probably a little bit older than our kiddos are at this point, but she said she would always let her daughter come into bed and like they would sleep together while her dad was out of town, you know? So things like that. I'm not going to let Chloe do that because she would not let me forget it and want it every single day and night. But we'll get to that age where I think that would be adorable. So little things like that, you know, get the wheels turning. And, you know, I think like it can be scary, especially if it doesn't happen often, or maybe it hasn't happened yet for you to be on your own for several days at a time with your little ones. But there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. And like, once you get through that time without them, you're like, oh, heck yeah. So I can do this before. I'm more of a badass than I already was. Like, and like we've said so many times, like this gives you so much freaking appreciation for actual single parents out there. Like, no
Amen.
Joke. Oh my goodness. So yes.
Oh, amen to that. Cheers to that. Holy cow. And also, last thing I wanted to mention, I'm saving it for the end of the podcast, but make sure you stock in advance if you like a glass of wine at the end of the day, because the worst thing that could happen is if you're on Thursday, had a cracker of a day, and all of a sudden you open the fridge and you're like, holy cow, I drank the wine last night. So making sure you plan in advance, make sure you're stocked full of any of those little treats that you like, whether that's a wine or like a little ice cream at the end of the day. But don't forget, just don't plan only for your kids. Plan for yourself too. I like a little wine at the end of the day, a little relax and watch some Bridgerton, or I know the new season of Handmaid's Tale is coming out. So I'm kind of hoping that I know. So I'm hoping I can have some wine, watch Handmaid's Tale, and have him be in New Zealand and just not feel guilty about it.
That sounds like a great plan. And yes, speaking of that, to wrap it up, like, do not feel guilty for leaving the dishes in the sink or like letting the laundry not being folded, like of not checking all those boxes that you're so used to checking at the end of each day while your partner is still in town, you know? So that's something that I've definitely learned is like, don't feel like you have to stay in your regular routine of keeping up your household like perfectly clean or organized or whatever. And maybe it's not to begin with, but let those things fall through the cracks. Like just let them, you know, prioritize your energy, prioritize what actually needs to be cleaned or put away. Something that I try really hard to do is like leave it till all the way at the end of the day and not try to clean up too much during nap time. You know, I'm like, she's just going to pull out the toys again. But sometimes I like the fresh start, like at the end of the day. Let's start new at the beginning of each day and each morning. But even while Ben's out of town, like let's say day 3 comes along, I'm like, screw it. I am not picking up a single toy. Sorry. But then I'll regret it when I step on one. But anyways, so just pick and choose what you put your energy towards, because that's huge. It all kind of catches up with you by the time 8 p.m. hits. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you inspire me. Thanks for all the tips. And I'm learning every day from you because Ben's been working a lot more away. So every time you give me little tips, I'm adding them to my little bank of things to remember on my small little times when Chase is gone.
And you learn as you go too. So like that's the whole thing. But yeah, these are definitely the big go-to tips for sure.
I love it. Well, thanks again for chatting with me about this. And we haven't said it lately, but guys, go check us out on Instagram. We've got a pretty awesome page. We post bloopers. We post things about what we're doing lately, but also we kind of do little snippets of what's happening here. If you ever want to see our faces, we're on there. Our Instagram is Mom Meets World Pod. And share with some friends. We've got some new guests around here. So I'm Peyton, and that is Miss Alaina. And we can't wait to see you guys next week.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, see you later.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Mom Meets World. If you enjoyed listening, please give us a like, subscribe, and find us on Instagram at Mom Meets World Pod.
because sometimes you just need another mom to remind you that you're getting it right more than you're getting it wrong. See you next time.